Hi, I'm Don. Welcome to my channel. I must admit, Warpaints Fanatic is slowly changing how I like to paint. The Warpaints Fanatic thread system is genius, and the coverage of the paints in general is slowly changing how I paint. We all have preferences when it comes to painting, but again, Warpaints Fanatic is changing me, is trying to force me to paint differently. In our last video, we painted the white armor and the red gems. In that video, I relied solely on washes, not solely, but a lot of washes were used on the painting of the white armor. In this painting, we go back to just basic Warpaints Fanatic as we finish this boss and turn it into this. I'm Don, welcome to my channel. This channel is supported by all these awesome brands. And of course, this channel won't be possible without the support of my patrons and the Army Painter. As usual, the full video tutorial or painting tutorial of this project is at Patreon, including the painting of the leather and the eyes. Now going back to what I said in the introduction of this video, Warpaints Fanatic is slowly changing how I paint. If you're a long-time subscriber of this channel, you know that I paint in two different ways, in two different basic ways. Of course, I have the sepia underpainting, violet underpainting or slop chop, or no, I don't really do slop chop. But then again, you have me painting over black primer, building up the colors, starting from very dark foundation colors and layering up towards the highlights. And of course, I love painting with zenithal and then using inks before or transparent paints, but now with speed paint. So those are my two different methods of painting miniatures. Now, the main reason why I think that Warpaints Fanatic is slowly changing how I like to paint or how I paint is that the Warpaints Fanatic has generally very good coverage. Normally, like for example, with this one, at the start of the painting of the blue skin, I would start with a very dark blue color. But this one, I did not. I usually start with very dark foundation color and build up towards the base color or the main color simply because of the weaker coverage of the paints that I used to use. By having a good, very dark foundation color, I could simply layer up towards the base color without worrying about the weak coverage. The foundation color or the previous or initial colors used before the base colors will help with the build-up of the colors, especially if your paints has weak coverage. However, with Warpaints Fanatic, because of the insane coverage or generally the very good coverage, you could start with the actual base color and layer down towards your shades by using washes or darker colors. Or you could use brighter foundation colors which will give you that volume that you want while you're sketching where you think the highlights would be, but then again, you won't need to start with darker colors. Now, another reason for starting with brighter foundation colors or even brighter base colors is that the Warpaints Fanatic washes are pretty good. So starting with brighter colors is viable because you could tone it down towards the black primer or the shade areas with washes very effectively. Of course, you need to build up multiple layers of the washes to really bring out the volume that you want with your painting, and just make sure that you let each layer dry before you build up those layers. But those washes are very effective and the amount of opacity of those washes is just perfect. Now, in terms of painting patterns or doing freehand painting, like this one in this video, we're painting skin patterns and later we'll be painting some veins on the skin. It's made so much easier, not because of the opacity or the coverage, but because of the triad system. The triad system simply makes our painting a bit more efficient. It kind of dictates, well, not really dictate, but it will guide you on what paints you want to use or like to use because of the very well-designed triad system. Also, introducing new colors to your like skin painting, like this one, we're introducing the saturated violet or basically magenta or pink tones, is very easy because of the coverage. And then you don't need to worry if you overdo this part, because you could simply do fat glazes or even thicker fat glazes on top so that you blend this color towards the blue toned skin. Simply put, building up the colors, building up the layering, and introducing new colors to your painting is super efficient. Now you'll see in the video I'm painting veins. Normally, I would use inks or thin down paint when you're painting with veins like this one so that you're not worried to ruin the previous colors. However, with Warpaints Fanatic, you have a vast range of choices of colors when you're painting the veins. So you don't really have to paint this with transparent paints, because you could use paints from the violet triad, the desaturated violet triad, or even the magenta triad. I said in one of my older videos that it took me a while to be comfortable with glazing with Warpaints Fanatic, simply because of the coverage. You need to thin it so much, like really add Warpaints, stabilizer, or even water to really have a nice thin down glaze paint. However, I noticed that creating fat glazes with Warpaints Fanatic is so much easier. Fat glazes are simply glazes that has a little bit more opacity. And the Warpaints Fanatic, even if you thin it down, has a little bit more opacity than most paint brands. Of course, you should refine with thin glazes, but layering up with fat glazes makes your painting a lot more efficient. Now, before our final thoughts, I would like to thank all of you guys, my viewers. The channel is growing, and of course, my patrons. And special thanks to Army Painter for making this video possible. So Warpaints Fanatic has slowly or is slowly changing how I like to paint. But this will be more obvious once I paint a full miniature in black primer. But with this one, it may not be blatantly obvious, but like I stated, the triad system, the very nicely designed triad system, and of course the choices of colors and the insane coverage of these paints is changing how I like to paint. You simply do not need to build up colors, thin glazes, or layers and layers of colors to get to your base colors because of the coverage. And since you will be guided by the triad system, your painting will be a lot more efficient instead of like having a hard time choosing the next color to use or choosing colors for the veins or the skin pattern. The triad system will really tell you what paints are good for these purposes. So you'll notice in like the voiceover or the commentary in this video, I was talking about efficiency. Because when it comes to content creation, efficiency is a must. Since obviously I'm not painting for like at competition standard, because we don't have Golden Demon here in the Philippines, and I'm not painting for myself wherein I could leisurely like really make the painting really good. As a content creator, my painting should be super efficient, yet I get to like produce fairly good results. So get to know your paints, get to know your Warpaints Fanatic, and you'll be very efficient at painting any kind of miniature because of the triad system, because of the coverage, and because of the choices of colors. That's it, Pansit. I hope you like this video. Do like, subscribe, and all that stuff because it helps the channel a lot. And until my next video, guys. Bye!